Okay, so picture this. It's January 2026, and Elon Musk steps on stage in Washington, D.C. with a wild claim. He looks at the crowd and says with a straight face, in 10 to 20 years, work will be optional. Optional, like going to the gym, like growing your own vegetables instead of just buying them. He wasn't kidding, at least not this time. He's been saying this for months now, over and over. Hey, real talk. When you first heard this, what did you actually feel? Excited? Relieved? Or maybe suspicious? Because here's the thing. This isn't some random prediction from a guy on the internet. This is the world's richest man. A guy worth over $600 billion. The man who owns Tesla, SpaceX, and basically half the internet at this point. So when Elon Musk says robots and AI will eliminate poverty, the whole world stops and listens. So what exactly is this vision? Let me break it down for you because it's actually kind of fascinating. Musk says his Optimus robots, humanoid robots, will eventually do every job a human currently does. And not just some jobs, all jobs. Factory work, office work, surgery, you name it. Everything. One robot, he says, has 5 times the productivity of a human because it can work 24/7. No breaks. The result? A global economy 10, maybe even 100, times larger than what we have today. And in that world, Musk says, people will receive what he calls universal high income. Basically free money, forever. Sounds amazing, right? I mean, no more alarm clocks, no more toxic bosses, no more Sunday dread. But wait, and this is where it gets really interesting. Even Musk himself admits it won't be easy. There will be a lot of trauma and disruption along the way, he said. Trauma, his word, not mine. And Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic, the company that makes Claude AI, he echoed that concern this month. He warned that displaced workers could form an unemployed underclass. That's pretty dark for a tech CEO to say. So we have the world's richest man promising paradise, and the AI industry's top minds warning of catastrophe. Interesting. Okay, here's where I want to take you somewhere unexpected. 2,000 years back, to ancient Rome. Stick with me, because what happened in Rome is basically a blueprint for what might happen to us. Seriously, in the Roman Republic, citizens had real power. They voted, they elected officials, their voice shaped the empire. Then something changed. Rome won wars and flooded its economy with something new. Slaves. Millions of them. Think about that. Suddenly you have an unlimited free labor force doing everything. Farming, building, teaching, even surgery. Sound familiar? Because I swear. Replace slaves with AI robots, and you have Musk's pitch for 2035. So what happened to the Roman people? Did they get rich? Did they thrive? Here's the painful part. The rich got richer, massively. They grabbed huge estates called latifundia and let slaves run everything profitably. Meanwhile, the small farmers, regular working people, got pushed off their land. They moved to the city. And in the city, they had no jobs because slaves did everything. So the government came up with a solution. Free grain and entertainment. Chariot races, gladiator fights, festivals. The government gave people bread and circuses, and it worked for a while. People were fed, people were entertained, but they stopped caring about governing. A Roman satirist named Juvenal noticed this. He wrote, "The people now only anxiously wished for 2 things, panem et circenses, bread and circuses," and he wasn't celebrating that. He was horrified by it, because it meant the citizens, who once held real power, had been reduced to passive spectators of their own lives. Now, fast forward to 2025. Does any of this sound familiar? Because it really should. Economists have a new term for what's happening in America's economy right now. They call it the K-shaped economy. Picture the letter K. The top arm goes up. That's the wealthy getting wealthier, riding the AI and stock market boom. The bottom arm goes down. That's middle and lower income Americans falling further behind. Slowly but surely, get this, the wealthiest 10% of Americans own almost 90% of the entire stock market. 90%? The bottom 50%? They own just 1.1%. Let that sink in for a second. And here's the kicker. AI is making this worse. The Magnificent Seven tech companies are soaring on AI profits. But that wealth, it basically stays at the top. It doesn't flow down. An economist said it perfectly. The economy at the very top is self-contained. It doesn't flow through to the bottom. Those words hit hard. And honestly, does this sound like Rome to you? Because it really, really does to me. So here's where the story gets complicated. And I need you to really think about this one with me. Musk's answer to all of this, to job displacement, inequality, chaos, is universal high income. Government payments for all. Sam Altman, CEO of OpenAI, actually ran a UBI pilot study. Gave 1,000 people $1,000 a month for 3 years. And the results? It helped with basics, rent, groceries, but it didn't improve job quality, education, or health. Not really. Which raises a real question. Is UBI actually a solution? Or is it more like Bread and Circuses 2.0? Think about it. Who are the biggest cheerleaders for UBI? The exact same people who own the AI that replaces your job. Musk gets his $1 trillion pay package approved by shareholders, and in the same speech promises to eliminate poverty. Really? One researcher put it bluntly. UBI risks becoming a way for tech elites to deflect criticism and maintain control. Give people just enough to not revolt, but not enough to actually challenge the system. Sound familiar yet? The Romans gave the poor just enough grain to not starve, but not enough to actually threaten the elite. But here's the really deep part. And this is the part that keeps economists and philosophers up at night. Even Musk himself has asked, if computers and robots do everything better than you, does your life have meaning? That's not a small question. That's the question. Because humans don't just work for money. We work for meaning. Harvard did a landmark study back in 1938, nearly 90 years ago. You know what it found? The biggest predictor of human happiness? Meaningful relationships. And where do most of those relationships come from? Work. So if work disappears, what replaces it? Netflix? Video games? That's the circuses part right there. And hey, I'm not judging. I love a good binge session, but a whole life of it? Is that really living? Here's a thought experiment. If you won the lottery tomorrow, enough to never work again, what would you actually do? Most people say travel, hobbies, family time. Great. But what about after 6 months? After a year? After 10 years? The crisis of meaning in a post-work world might actually be harder to solve than poverty itself. Think about that. So where does all of this leave us? Historians, economists, and philosophers have basically mapped out 3 possible futures. Future number 1, the good ending. AI wealth gets shared broadly. Universal basic services, healthcare, housing, education for all. And people find new forms of meaning. Community work, art, care, volunteering. A richer life, differently defined. Future number 2, the dark ending. AI wealth concentrates at the top. Everyone else gets just enough not to revolt. Subscription-based everything, surveillance everywhere, entertainment designed to keep you distracted. Sound dystopian? It should. Future number 3, the identity war. Who actually gets the benefits? Citizens only? Native-born people? What about immigrants? Scholars call this welfare chauvinism. The idea that benefits should go to our people, not outsiders. It's already happening. And history tells us that when resources get tight, or even just feel tight, the borders of us shrink fast. Which of these 3 futures do you think is most likely? Honestly, I think we're heading toward a mix of all 3. So what's the difference between Rome and us? Why might things go differently this time? I actually think there's hope. Rome's citizens couldn't organize quickly. There was no social media, no internet, no instant mass communication. We can't. We're literally doing it right now, in ways that would have looked like magic to Juvenal. And unlike Rome's citizens, we actually know this history. We can see the pattern before it fully locks in. But that only matters if people pay attention. And that means you. Me. Everyone listening to this right now, the real question isn't whether AI will transform the economy. It will. That ship has absolutely sailed. The question is, will that transformation serve the many? Or just enrich the few who already hold all the cards? Will we get universal high income or universal high distraction? Free money or just free content to keep us numb? Juvenal's Romans had their bread and circuses. We have Netflix, TikTok, and DoorDash. Different era, same playbook. So after all of this, after Rome, after Musk, after the K-shaped economy, and what do you actually think? Are we heading toward the utopia Musk promises? Or the slow, comfortable trap that Juvenal warned about long ago? I don't think there's one easy answer, but I do think asking the question is exactly where we need to start. Because history doesn't repeat, but it does rhyme. And if you listen closely, you can hear Rome in our headlines. That's a wrap for today. The robots are coming. The question is, whose side will they be on?